Good, thank you. Welcome everyone. This is our April 2022 meetup in Columbus Sitecore user group. Today we are very fortunate to have Andy Cohen. He is a Sitecore architect, especially he has been working on XM Cloud recently, and he is the brain behind all going on in XM Cloud. It's a very exciting technology that's coming up. Andy is veteran Sitecore architect. He worked in several Sitecore implementation in his, when he worked with partners, Sitecore partners. Now he's in Sitecore and working for Sitecore and architecting XM Cloud. I'm very excited to see this session. Thanks, Andy, for accepting the invitation. Floor is yours. Yeah. Thank you.
Well, thanks. So yeah, my name is Andy Cohen. I am an architect here at Sitecore. I started out developing in Sitecore in 2013. I worked for a couple different partners, and I've done, I don't know, double-digit implementations of Sitecore. I was also a development manager. I'm a developer, architect. I was on the solution engineering team, or sales engineering team here at Sitecore for a little bit. I've helped out architecting Experience Edge and moved on to XM Cloud Deploy. Probably almost a year ago now, we started the idea and the POC of it. So today, what I'm going to go through is I'm basically going to do the presentation that I did at SugCon, except a little bit slower this time. I won't be as rushed, and hopefully everything will work. So it's a little bit more stable, but you never know, right? It is a demo, it's a live demo, so you never know. I just got a notification that something's broken in our dev, and I'm hoping it's not going to be affecting our staging where I'm going to be doing the demo. So let me start sharing the screen here. All right. All right, here we go. So yes, it's called XM Cloud Build and Deploy in less than 5 minutes. Fingers crossed. Things can't, there's a few dependencies here, you know, caching and some other deployment times that affect the speed. So let's keep our fingers crossed here. So the first thing I wanted to go over is what is XM Cloud? In a nutshell, XM Cloud is a version of XM or XP that's been broken into some smaller parts and put back together again, right? We broke it apart into different components, and then we put it back together to support a headless only deployment of XM. Out of the box, what that means is we have the Edge connector, we're installing an Edge tenant for you. We're installing the new version 2 of the Edge connector, which is 17
Andy,
times fast. Yeah.
Are you sharing anything?
Oh, you can't see? You guys can't see my screen?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. Can anybody else see my screen?
No, it's not visible.
No, strange. Okay, let me try that again. Share. Now, can you see my screen?
Yes, loading.
Okay, all right. Let's try that again. Sorry about that. I was definitely sharing. So swap presenter / view. Okay, so XM Cloud is XM or XP deconstructed. And out of the box, we have Edge connector and an Edge tenant installed. We have this new thing called Sitecore Unified Identity. So in our new composable infrastructure, we wanted to support identity across all of our services, our systems and microservices. So we have this new thing called Sitecore Unified Identity. We have a new version of SXA, which is headless. We are installing headless services for you, management services, JSS, the layout service, GraphQL. And then we also have Horizon connectivity. We're not installing a Horizon container or running a Horizon container. We are we have a new connector that a SaaS version of Horizon, which is, you may have heard it by called by a few different names, Symphony, Site Builder, Zenith. There's a couple of different names, and we're not settled on what it's going to be. So I can't promise what that is, but it's a SaaS version of Symphony that connects back to the CM instance. We are installing the Azure Blob Storage module so that databases aren't filled with images. They're instead, the images are in blob storage. And then we are installing a tenant of CDP, which we're calling Sitecore Embedded Personalization, or maybe it's going to be called Personalized. Again, the name isn't 100% sure there, but you don't have to use it. But we are installing it for you if you want to use it. We've also removed things that you don't need for headless development. You don't need device detect, device simulator. You don't need to be geolocated. All of that would be handled by some composable thing for personalization or something out on the edge. You don't need the update center because we're going to be doing automatic updates for you, and I'll dive into that a little bit more later. And then we also are, we don't need the identity server anymore because we have unified identity. We are also reworking forms to be headless forms. And then we are working on completely removing the web database. Now this is headless. You're connecting with Experience Edge as your delivery. So it's basically GraphQL and media served out of a CDN, right? That we're publishing to. So we don't need the web database. So that's what XM Cloud is in a nutshell. But what I am primarily focused on is XM Cloud Deploy. And XM Cloud Deploy it's the tooling to get XM Cloud deployed very, very fast, right? We want people to build websites or web experiences. We don't want you to have to spend time on deploying them. I remember, let's see, I can bring up this one architecture. Let's pull it up real quick. When I worked at a Sitecore partner, I remember I worked at one customer, and I was so proud of an architecture that I came up with. Spent hours and hours and hours drawing it on this board. Let me see if I can find it. Albums, here we go. So, can you guys see this?
Yes.
Yes, I
Yes, you can.
Yeah.
All right. So this is an architecture that I built for a customer, and it has, I don't know how many servers here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I don't know. Like 30 to 40 servers up here. It's this huge architecture for supporting databases, web databases, core databases, all the infrastructure footprint that you need, all the different multiple environments that you have. And you spend so much time creating these architectures for Sitecore, and then you figure out, okay, well, the customer actually paid for this, you know, a license X, Y, and Z, and now you need to marry up your architecture to the licenses. And by the time it's all said and done, you've spent 3 months building these things up, and then you're deploying them, and then you need to build your DevOps process to fit your deployment model. It's this big thing. Well, the idea of XM Cloud and composable is so that you don't have to do that kind of stuff anymore. We don't want you to spend the time on the deployments. We want you to build websites, build web experiences. We built XM Cloud Deploy with a few different use cases. We started with GitOps, and what that is, what GitOps is think about it. If you guys are familiar with the Vercel, you go to the Vercel website, you can connect it with your GitHub account, and it can install a Vercel starter kit into your Git repository or into your GitHub account into a brand new repository, and it can deploy it in minutes. Well, we're going for the same exact kind of workflow. We want you to be able to link your app or link a template up with your GitHub repository or Azure DevOps or some other source code providers, and get your CM server deployed fast so that you can focus on the content and focus on the website. We also have we've kept local development in mind, using the same exact container that we are going to be deploying out to our SaaS infrastructure. You can also use that same exact container locally, using the Sitecore Docker tools, the same exact ways that you can develop in containers today. When we first mentioned Sitecore or XM Cloud to developers on the MVP channels on Slack, people also brought up, well, what about automation tools? What if I don't want to link it to GitHub? What if I want my source code to stay in my build environment, but I still want to use XM Cloud Deploy? So we also allow you to push, we allow the source code to be checked out and in your, you know, on Azure DevOps or whatever, and then you can use the Sitecore CLI to push your source code and then also use the tooling that way. So automation tools from your own build server. And then the last case that I'm going to demo is, how do you get just a blank, empty environment spun up really, really quickly? So we all built XM Cloud Deploy with the REST API. We built it with REST API first, and we put a CLI plugin, Sitecore CLI plugin in front of that. And we started building a portal to match all of that experience as well. And all of this is deployed on our Sitecore SaaS services, and we handle your monitoring, your observability, your security, and your scalability, all that for you. An empty environment deployment is as simple as launching the CLI and typing a few commands like Sitecore Cloud Deployment Create, and within minutes, you'll have a deployment ready for you. And you can log into that deployment and do whatever you want on it. We also have a deployment portal. I'm going to launch into that. We don't have, again, this is pre-release content that I'm showing you, which is kind of unique at Sitecore. They're allowing me to show all this pre-release stuff, which is, it's really cool that I get to talk to the community ahead of time. But so I'm going to show you some things that aren't fully fleshed out, or they're not fully available yet in our portal, but they are on the way. So this is slideware right here, but most of this is actually pretty far along in our development right now. So what you come to our deployment portal, you choose your source code provider, where you could start from your existing code, or you could choose a starter template. You would then choose which template you wanted to use. Then you would give it a project name. You would choose your source code provider. You'd authorize that our application to connect. You'd enter some basic details about your project, information about your environment name. Do you want it to be linked to, or what do you want your branch name to be? Do you want to do auto deployments when you commit? And then you click create and deploy, and it's off deploying for you. Then we have local development. Now, I mentioned that we're doing this with the existing local development experience in mind, and I can actually show you some of that. Let's see. Yeah, so we have the basic starter Next.js site that we're going to have a template for, and it uses the same exact web scripts in the scripts that regular Docker development uses. And then we have the local development experience when you're linked to a repository. So you're developing locally, and as you commit and you push, it's going to trigger a webhook, and it's automatically going to build. And the last flow is you could specify upload on the command line, and it's going to push whatever you have in the current directory that you're in, push it out to the build server. And I'm going to go through that in a minute. And the last case we have is the automation tools, where from your build server, it would check out the code, and then you could write some scripts to perform all the actions that you need to deploy. So with that said, I'm going to go into a demo. Let's do that. I have my CLI right here. Okay. So let me log out so you guys can see the full experience. Okay. So the first thing you do is you'd log in. Well, actually, the first thing you do is you install the Sitecore CLI, then you install the Sitecore Cloud plugin, then you'd log in, Sitecore Cloud login. That will launch a browser window with device code authentication. Confirm your device, choose your username, or enter your username, password. And then you're authorized. CLI. And first thing you would do is you would create a project. So within your organization, you can create multiple projects. You would want to create a project for something like a department or a brand. It's really whatever you want. It's just an arbitrary organizational unit to house multiple environments. So I'm going to create project. Sitecore Cloud project create. Name Columbus. And then I would create an environment. I can actually just copy this command here. We'll name it dev. And now that I have my environment created, I can deploy it. Sitecore Cloud deployment, create, give it the environment ID, and it's gonna start deploying. All right, so what it's gonna be doing here is it's gonna be provisioning all your databases, your indexes, any edge tenants that you need, any authentication clients, all the stuff that it used to take you a very, very long time to do. It's going to provision this usually in about 50, 55 seconds. depending on a few things. So we'll give it like 20 more seconds here. Let's see how it goes.
And all this happening in Azure container?
Well, no, we're not deploying your resources or your or provisioning stuff in containers. No, these are actual resources. The only thing that's a container is the actual image itself, or is your code, or your custom code, or the base image itself. So it finished deploying everything that you needed in 54 seconds, and then it moved on to the deployment. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go through, after it deploys this, I'm going to go through the custom build experience. But while that's running here, I am. Let's see. So this is a real portal. If I had no projects, you would get that landing page that you saw in the very, very beginning. And we're going to allow custom templates, but by default, we're going to start with just a few big ones. This is the environment that we just created. You will be able to view the logs of your server as well. You can edit your project details, like I showed. You can create a new environment from here. All that's real. You can edit your environment details, link this environment to a different branch, deploy your build artifact to another environment. That's effectively promoting. You can delete your environment. You can also generate tokens. Really authentication clients for things like Edge. So you can access the Edge administration APIs, the token APIs, things like that. Also, you can create automation clients so that you can use the CLI against your CM server. And let's see what else I can show while we're waiting. Let's see. I guess I could just go ahead and show you a few more things. I'm really trying to see if this is going to work. Oops. Yep. All right. Right on track. This is actually going to finish in about 40 seconds. So while we're waiting for that to finish, I can skip ahead and show you. I can talk about our release strategy. So we are starting XM Cloud at version 1.0, and we're going to be doing semantic version. And the whole idea here in our deployment, 4 minutes and 5 seconds. And I could click on this link right here, and it's going to launch the CM instance. There's Sitecore Betty. Go log into Sitecore. Now I'm also going to be logged in ahead of time because so it's the same credential, same user in my organization. And it's going to take me to the launch pad here. In the content editor, I'll show you a few things. So we're going to be removing this custom analytics also because that doesn't make sense for XM Cloud. We're probably going to be changing around this layout a little bit, removing some things, maybe adding some new things. Want to show you the content editor. So I can right-click the content node and create a headless tenant for SXA or JSS. I can see, I can show you it has an Edge publishing target it has in our templates, and this is that Horizon client I was talking about. In our templates, we have in the project folder, it's completely empty at this point. And what we're going to do next is we're actually going to deploy some items that we've built in a custom solution, and it's going to get deployed out to out here. And we'll actually be able to look at the live progress of the build. And so, excuse me, let me just go through that real quick. So from the CLI, I'm going to show you the directory that we're about to deploy. So in my solution here, I'm not going to deploy the basic starter kit. I'm going to actually, let me show you this folder. So here is a very, very bare bones solution. It's a web app. It has a couple references to a library. It has an app config with a very basic config file in it. The library we have, all it has is a class. You can put a custom pipeline in here. You can write whatever custom code you want and have it work the same way as it always did. And then also we have some serialized items. So these items were serialized using the Sitecore CLI serve push or pull command and added here. Now what would happen is based on this module file, it is gonna create items as resources based off of these serialized items. And during the build process, it's going to add it to the image so that when Sitecore starts up, the serialized items will already be there, not as database items, but as items as resources that we load. And if you guys aren't familiar with that, they're protobuf files of serialized items. And so let me just kick that process off here. So all I got to do is do Sitecore Cloud deployment, create, make sure I grab the right environment ID. I did, the last demo I did, I didn't use the right environment ID and it errored. I couldn't figure out why. So same environment, but this time we're going to upload some custom code, just the upload parameter there. Click enter. And we can actually follow this along this time. I can click this link here. It opens up the browser. And we got our deployment info and our deployment details screen. And we can follow the live progress of this build. We will also be filling out these different stages with more information about provisioning or your deployment or your post action. That is actually happening in this sprint. It started yesterday, so I don't have anything to show you there, but the live build progress we're very, very, very proud of. We spent a lot of work on getting this working. So I'm very, very proud of all the work that my team has done on this. And in a minute here, it's gonna, I think it's gonna stop on some really expensive library. I'm really not sure what it does. You saw the test library, the test web app up there. And then it's done building. It's creating the items as resources right here. And it's going to build the image. You know, the speed of this can actually, it varies based on what's cached. And this is actually done. You can see it's actually started deploying back here. And so 2 minutes from now, it should finish deploying. We may actually hit under the under the 4-minute mark. Never been done yet. I would love to see that happen. So while that's going, I will go back to my slides and I will show you I'll talk about the release strategy again. So our release strategy is semantic versioning starting 1.0. Historically, Sitecore has not done semantic version. Some people would probably disagree with me. I would call it a marketing version. We had quarterly releases where we incremented the minor version number. Yearly, we would increment the major version. And we've changed our release cadence over the years, and we've never really been consistent. And so what we're trying to do right now is go to semantic versioning, and that will actually help us out to automatically update you within a major version. So as we push out new bug fixes, or after Microsoft releases their Windows release every month, after any new features that we want to release, after you redeploy, or whenever there's some kind of security thing that we need to patch, we will automatically upgrade or update you. So 1.1, 1.2, 1.24, whatever, all the way up to 2.0, we will be updating you automatically behind the scenes. You don't have to worry about this anymore. And we can accomplish this because of semantic versioning. So I can show you the basic company solution. Let's see. The reason why we can do this is because of our versioning strategy. So in the starter kit, as an example, and let's see, did it make the 3-minute mark? Oh, 4 minutes and 8 seconds. I'll come back to that. But in the basic company starter, one of the reasons why we can do automatic updates is because first of all, the images we have short tags, and this would say 1. Right now we're at 0 dot something, but we have a short tag based on the major version. And so as you build, these will automatically update. We are also specifying in our package file a wildcard, and this will be 1.0. We also have our own assemblies for XM Cloud. And so just by nature of these wildcards and short tags, you get automatic updates. What else can I show you here? Let's actually log into the instance here, and I'll show you that it actually deployed those items as resources. Don't you love waiting for Sitecore to load? There we go.
We are all used to it.
Yes, we are. Okay, so in the content editor now, we will see those items from our solution in the content tree in the project folder of the templates, because what we added were templates. We added this. Just to review, we added serialization, basic company. We added these templates, basic company folder types, page components, page types. And here in the folder, we see those items that we deployed with our solution. And that's the bulk of the, I guess I can also show another thing. we can access the CLI the same way that we always did. We can, I think it's Sitecore Cloud Environment Connect. Give it the ID. Okay. And not sure. So this, we named this dev, that's right. Okay. So now I can actually do the Sitecore CLI, the management services commands like Sitecore index list. Let's give the name of dev. Yeah, there's a little bug here, so I can't show this. Actually, I can quickly change this URL behind the scenes and it will work. There was a bug in the URL that's added to the host entry. All right, so I can also Sitecore index, or do schema populate. Schema pop, is it index schema? Yeah, it's index schema populate dev. So the point is, you can run the same CLI commands as you always could. And I think that's what I really want to show in the demo. And again, one more time, back to the slides. Talked about our release strategy. So in our releases, we're going to be updating the CLI, all the NuGet packages. We're going to have our own NuGet feed for XM Cloud stuff, individual component packages, meta packages. If you're not familiar with what meta packages are, they add target references to your solution. And we will be updating the base image. And as I showed you, our template projects will be referencing wildcards version, and we're gonna be updating our template. We'll have a .NET new like XM Cloud project command you'll be able to run to create new projects. And you can get this. We have a limited preview starting this month and general availability in the summer of 2022. So with that, here's my contact info, andy.cohen. It's Sitecore Community Slack, and then Twitter, I am Andy Cohen, and my email, andy.cohen@sitecore.com. And with that, I will just open it up to questions. I hope that you guys could hear me and see all of that, and we're as excited as I am about this new product. Questions?
Yeah, thanks, Andy. We have a couple of questions in chat, so I will read it out and you can answer. So one question from Aji, can we create custom fields, customization pipeline, custom jobs, etc. in XM Cloud?
Absolutely, you can create custom jobs, custom pipelines, custom fields. I believe that custom fields show up over on Edge. I think. I have to double check that. Pretty sure that they do, but I will confirm and let you guys know outside of this. I'll answer on the user groups channel.
Okay, thank you.
In Slack.
And the next question from him again, CM XM Cloud made in which .NET framework? As part of auto upgrade, how it will make sure all the customizations are supported? I guess there are two questions. One is what .NET framework version is used, and the how the customizations are supported.
Yep. Okay. So great question. So Sitecore XM Cloud is built from the same exact Sitecore XM 10.3 that's going to be released around symposium time. It's still using .NET 4.8. It still has some components that are .NET standard, like some commerce components, but that's not part of XM Cloud. There is also the rendering host, which is still .NET Core. You can still use the rendering host, but yeah, it's the same as it was before. We didn't change that. We didn't change your ability to customize things. We're also going to be adding in new features like ability to do XDT transform, add your own environment variables. What else are we doing? Custom NuGet authenticated NuGet feeds. Yeah, things like that. But yeah, the same customizations that you could do before as a general rule. One of the big questions, and Jason St. Cyr could probably speak more to this than I could. A big question that people have is how do you get over to headless, or how would you even get on XM Cloud? The short answer is this: you're going to want to go towards headless architectures. You're going to want to convert your solution. You're going to want to migrate your content first, and then start building a headless solution. And you'll be able to use SXA and JSS, things like that. But you'll need to first convert over to headless. Jason, is there anything you want to add here?
So yeah, that was actually, I'll ask Jason to, that was actually one of my questions, is how developers' experience is changing, because we are moving from MVC Sitecore API kind of development to headless, right? Can you talk about a little bit about that?
Yeah, the market is moving towards headless architectures, using statically generated sites with a little bit of SSR mixed in. Everything's moving towards CDNs and edge personalization, things like that. So the sooner you're versed on those technologies, the better, I think. And they play better in the composable universe. Jason, is there any, sorry, I'm totally putting you on the spot. This isn't your presentation, but is there anything you want to add, Jason, to this? Because I know you did the SugCon presentation.
You are on mute.
Yeah, that's why I needed the 1 second. try it on my laptop, rapidly find slides and get everything going. So I just pulled up a slide from one of the decks I did at Symposium, and just like Andy said, like there's no content delivery instances when you go in to XM Cloud. So like if you have dependencies on session data, if you have dependencies on running MVC or SXA renderings, things like that, things that are not going to be able to run, then those are things you're going to be looking at. I also talked a lot about personalization. So when you want to go towards a headless mode, you want to be looking at something like personalize or something like that, right? So that would be doing your personalization. And what I talked about at SugCon was a lot about using Next.js and static site host. You don't only have to do that. There's a lot of other options you have for building headlessly. But one of the reasons I was suggesting that might be a good route to go to prep yourself would be that if your goal of going to SaaS is that you don't have to own infrastructure anymore, if you don't go to a static site host or something that's going to do, you have to then own the rendering hosts. And so you still have like a content delivery infrastructure you have to manage. So I really like things like Netlify and Static or Vercel, where you can plug that in and it handles the delivery architecture for you as well. And with Edge doing that as well, like having that layer, those are really great ways for you to just have less and less responsibility over the infrastructure. So that's kind of the points I was trying to bring up there. I'm not sure if I answered the question properly there.
No, that's great.
Yeah, that's great, actually. So I would like, go to the next question here. This is from Martin. XM Cloud content editor looks like regular XM 10x, I was under the impression that Symphony Horizon as a service would be editorial experience.
Absolutely, it is. Yeah, so you're right. I showed you the content editor. The cloud portal and site builder are not, they're going to be released when what we call M2. I think. I'm not, you know what, don't even quote me on that. I'm not sure when those pieces are getting released. I think that they're all getting released around the same exact time as XM Cloud. But yeah, you're right. Site builder is key to XM Cloud, but I'm not showing you that because my domain isn't Site Builder or Symphony or anything like that, or the Cloud Portal. My domain is XM Cloud Deploy and deploying XM Cloud. So
yeah,
my apologies, I didn't show that.
And in terms of that timeline that Andy was talking about, you know, we're a very agile delivery group and things are changing all the time. So like stuff was said at SubCon that the week before was not what was supposed to happen. And then the week after things changed again. So we will see what happens when it actually comes to delivery date, exactly the pieces that are in there. But yes, we're going to have that headless editing experience is going to be there. And what exact functionality is going to be in there or not, and what you can do with it, that will be based on the date. But because it's SaaS, then we can start doing the updates and getting stuff out faster afterwards.
Exactly. Yeah. So we'll be able to update the Horizon content module behind the scenes, and we'll be able to update the SaaS infrastructure, the website that supports all that. So and we'll be rolling out new features all the time. So exciting stuff.
We like surprises.
Yeah.
I think it makes.
Go ahead. Sorry. Well, what I was going to say is that I didn't really answer the question before about breaking customizations, right? If we're automatically updating, what if you have customizations? So think of it this way. The answer is it depends, but what we are going to be committed to is within a major version, we're not going to introduce a breaking change, right? I have agreement through across the whole, all of the architectural teams that there's going to be no breaking changes within a major version. We will be able to release new features, and because we're going to have NuGet packages that match the base image, and things are automatically going to be updating, you can't make use of functionality that won't be deployed yet. So your code really can't break because we're not going to be changing APIs on you. We're not going to be deprecating stuff. We're not going to break your code. That's the plan. And I am very adamant. I've been adamant about it from the very, very beginning, right? No more breaking changes. A lot of the Sitecore community may not be comfortable with that yet. Give us a chance, is all I have to say. Give us a chance.
Yeah. So again, question from Martin: what is the difference between XM Cloud and headless CMS based on Content Hub?
So I think you're referring to what do they call it? Headless.
Experience Edge.
Headless no, it was called. There's a couple of different names.
Content as a service was announced.
Content as a service.
While back. I think there's going to be a new name that they're trying to figure out to not call it CAS. But
there was something called Content Hub Headless or Universal.
There's like
content.
A combo of Edge plus Content Hub.
Yeah, it's kind of a trimmed down version of Content Hub without DAM, all the APIs that you're familiar with Content Hub, but its focus is literally just content and really fast delivery on Edge. That's what it is. So,
but I think like an exciting thing about XM is actually it is not losing the functionality for marketer, right? It's the Agile CMS and marketer friendly, whatever marketer used to do before they can do, but it is headless. So
yep.
I think that makes a huge difference with other like CMS out there, headless CMS out there.
Yep,
Next
absolutely.
question. Is Sitecore Commerce can also be managed this way?
Sitecore Commerce, I would say no. I would say I'd look at Order Cloud
Yep.
as your composable piece that you'd want for commerce. But there's no plans to move. You know what? Let me just leave the door open. Who knows, right? Who knows? Maybe one day we will have this kind of deployment model for XP. I don't know. Maybe we'll have CD servers. I don't know. I'm not committing to that. This is what we have right now. XM headless, and that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Okay. Okay. So what is the cloud hosting technique used in Sitecore XM? I guess. Is it getting deployed in containers? Is it supported in AWS? Okay.
It's a black box. It doesn't matter,
yes.
right? You don't need to
Yes.
know. It's hamsters like turning wheels behind the scenes. No, it doesn't matter. You shouldn't need to worry about that.
Yeah,
What
I
you're
think
saying,
that's
Andy,
the
is this
point,
is
right?
running off of your desktop and
It is.
I got for everybody.
Yes, exactly.
Exactly.
My kids are behind here coding away. Yep.
Do we have a presentation layer in XM Cloud? I guess like, talking about rendering, I guess not.
Presentation layer. You mean like layout presentation, or are we talking? I guess, can you be more specific about what kind of presentation layer you're talking about?
Yes, layout.
Yeah, this layout. Well, we have the layout service, right? Which is what headless services is based on, JSS. We have the rendering host, which runs off the layout service as well. SXA headless runs off the layout service. Absolutely, we have a presentation layer.
What about search? Is it Solar or something like Search Stack?
It's magic. It's a magic index, and I'm not going to tell you what it is. Right? It's a black box. Yep. But to be clear, the search technology in there powers the content editor, right? You don't build custom indexes on CM. Edge is your index, right? Edge is your querying provider. That's where you get your content from now. Yeah.
Okay. So I have one question. Like, there is no web database, right? And it's all going to Edge. So we know that in Experience Edge or in Content Hub Experience Edge, there are APIs to manage data in Edge. Like, for example, I'm publishing something and data cached. So are there similar kind of API for XM Cloud?
So the Edge APIs all will exist. We are building some UIs in our XM Cloud Deploy portal that will wrap some of the functionality for the Edge REST APIs. I can tell you that there's some news for Edge as well. I won't go into details because I haven't been cleared to talk about it, but there's something new. That's all I'll say. Just to whet your appetite. But there's a little bit of a UI wrapper around some of the Edge stuff.
And also, you said there is no identity server, right? I know that this is actually a black box.
Yep.
So in the just curious, what kind of identity system XM Cloud is using,
Sure.
because there will be authentication anyway, right? In the site.
Yep. So we're supporting client credentials, device code, authentication code, or it's authorization code, classic username password with PKCE encryption. Your classic, IDP server type functionality. And you'll be able to create your own machine or client credentials clients to access the deploy APIs. You'll also be able to use those. You'll be able to create your own authentication or application clients for managing and accessing the edge APIs. You'll also be able to create your own clients for accessing the DM server. So you'll have complete control over those as well. We're starting with the user interface first, and then we'll probably move those into the CLI as well.
Okay, I think we just can take one more question here. So this is probably Jason can also help with this. Old school Sitecore developer, how do they get started on enabling to prepare for this? Like where do they start? Learn Nest.js?
Great question. I would say go learn some basic, go over cell tutorial just to get your hands dirty in some static site generation with React. And I'd start maybe playing around with some JSS stuff. There's some good basic starter templates for cell, I believe, right now on the Sitecore GitHub repositories. That's what I would do. What would you do?
Yeah, I mean, you could, if you're an old .NET developer, still do .NET Core headless. If you want to write in .NET, that would be an option.
Yep.
Industry-wise, that's not where people are going. So you probably want to start getting into maybe, who was it? At Cohen was talking about static and doing like .NET static site generation. And it was, they took like the Sibson site and converted it over and did static site generation with that. That's another way you could go. But I think learning, for me, as someone who doesn't code day to day and has nothing but .NET background, going into React was like super scary. Like it was not at all the way I thought about things. So TypeScript was actually a very good, like in between way, it kind of like thought the way I thought about it. And Next.js, because it's server side and does the pre-generation, I found it was a very good transition for me to go to that rather than going to a pure client side app. We're also, my team is going to be taking the MVP website. We're going to take it from Sitecore 10.2 running like headless .NET Core and stuff. And we're going to try to rebuild that against XM Cloud. So you'll have an open source repo that shows you like, if you take this, and we're going to show like all the stuff that goes wrong along the way, because we don't know what we're doing either. So we're going to figure it out along the way. And that might be a good way for people who are used to doing it the old way to kind of see, oh, this is how you take it and move along into the XM.
Yeah, we all can be contributor, and that's a great opportunity there, right?
Yeah.
Well, we are on the top of the hour. Thanks, Andy. Thanks so much for doing this. And Jason also, like, join in this discussion. Thanks everyone for joining this session. We'll see you in the next one. Thank you.
Cool. Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you.